Moving on, let us now discuss 8th schedule of the Constitution of India, which deals with languages. It is pertinent to mention here that the schedule is not titled as regional languages, national languages, or official languages. The title is languages, and that makes it clear that number one, it is not declaring any language to be an official language, and it's not declaring any language to be a national language. If we look at the schedule as originally drafted, there were 14 languages. Even Hindi, which is declared to be the official language of the Union, is finding a mention in that schedule. So if we look at the languages in the schedule, Hindi and Sanskrit, both are mentioned in the 8th schedule. Originally, there were 14 languages. But this, as I said, the list is open. It has been amended on 3 occasions. 21st Constitutional Amendment Act added 1 language. 71st Amendment Act added 3 languages. 92nd Amendment Act added 4 languages. So accordingly, as of date, there are 22 languages which are listed in the 8th schedule. These languages are, as we said, neither declared to be the official languages, nor national languages, nor regional languages. They are languages. It must be mentioned here that when Hindi was adopted as the language of the Union, for the official purposes of the Union, Hindi is claimed to have been spoken by around 14 million out of 32 million population as per 1931 census. Therefore, it was claimed by many that Hindi was not the national language, it was at the best a provincial language. But having adopted Hindi as the language of the Union for official purposes, Hindi was included in the 8th schedule as one of the languages. Now the question arises, what is the importance of languages in the 8th schedule? So then we need to look at Article 350, 351 and Article 344. As we have discussed that Language Commission is required to be constituted. So Language Commission, the provision says that the members representing the languages in the 8th schedule, they shall be there. That means those languages which are listed in the 8th schedule, their representation have to be there in the Language Commission. So that is one aspect. Second, if we look at the provisions in the Constitution contained in Part 17 of the Constitution, we find that so far as the languages which are listed in 8th schedule, they can be used for another purpose. When we look at Article 351, which talks about the duty of the Union to promote the spread of Hindi and also to develop Hindi so that it can become the expression of the composite culture of India. Therefore, for the development of Hindi as a language, which language it should draw upon, where form it should assimilate expressions, it says primarily from the Sanskrit and secondary from the languages which are listed in the 8th schedule. Therefore, languages which find a place in the 8th schedule can be used to enrich Hindi language so that the expressions which are used in those language, they can be assimilated in Hindi so that Hindi can become a language which can express the composite culture of this country. So 8th schedule is very important. Now, as we said, as of date, there are 22 languages which are listed in the 8th schedule. But there has been consistent demand for inclusion of more languages in the 8th schedule. If we look at the reply given in Feb 2014 in the Lok Sabha, it was claimed by the ministry that there is a demand for 38 more languages being included in the 8th schedule. A committee was also constituted in 2003 under the chairmanship of Sitakant Mohapatra, which submitted its report regarding the inclusion of languages in the 8th schedule. That report is lying with the government. No action has been taken as yet. One thing must also be remembered, that what shall be the criteria for inclusion of a language in the 8th schedule has not been made clear, has not been made public either by the Constitution or by any statute, that this shall be the criteria for inclusion of a language in the 8th schedule. Moving ahead, Article 346, which deals with the language for intergovernmental communications. As we have discussed, that Hindi has been adopted as the official language of the Union, but states were free to adopt any one or more languages in use for official purposes of the state or maybe Hindi. So every state has not adopted Hindi as official language. There are around 11 states which have adopted Hindi as a language for the official purposes of the state. Other states have not chosen. Therefore, the provision had to be inserted in the constitution regarding which language is to be used for intergovernmental communication. That means communication from union to inter se, that is within different ministries, communication between government and states, or between states inter se. Therefore, Article 346 contains such a provision. So far as those states are concerned which have adopted Hindi as their official language, the communication between those states can take place in Hindi. But when the communication is to take place between a state which has adopted Hindi as its official language and a state which has not adopted Hindi as its official language, then it shall be in English or it shall be in Hindi and accompanied by translation in English. Similarly, from union, since the Hindi is the official language of the union, when the union is sending a communication to states, it shall be in Hindi, but if the state has not adopted Hindi as its official language, then of course that communication from the union to the state must be accompanied by translation in English. If we look at 1976 rules of the union, that is communication from the union to states and union to union territories, those rules they contemplate three-fold division: Region A, Region B and Region C. The rules say that communication from the union to states and to union territories, those regions which are specified in Region A, that is the Hindi belt, the Haryana, Himachal, Rajasthan, Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, etc., it shall be in Hindi except in exceptional circumstances. And when it is not in Hindi, it must be accompanied by translation in Hindi. So far as Region B is concerned, it shall ordinarily be in Hindi. Region B includes states like Maharashtra, Gujarat, Punjab, ordinarily in Hindi. And so far as Region C is concerned, it shall be in English. It is not out of place to mention here that there are states which have adopted English as its official language. Since Hindi has not been adopted by all these states as their official language, therefore in those cases the translation in English is desired. Moving on, if we look at Article 348, which deals with two important aspects. One, the language to be used in High Courts and Supreme Court. And when we look at that aspect, again two questions are there. One is the language to be used in proceedings. Second is the language in judgments and decrees and orders of High Courts and Supreme Court. So Article 348 very clearly says that language to be used in the proceedings in High Court and Supreme Court shall be English. However, the governor of a state, with the previous consent of the president, can authorize the use of any language other than English in proceedings before the Supreme Court and the High Court. However, the judgment, decrees and orders of the High Courts are required to be in English by virtue of Article 348. If we look at Official Languages Act, Section 7 of that Act, that authorizes that governor may, with the previous consent of the president, authorize the use of English in judgments, decrees and orders. But in such a case, the judgment, decrees and orders must be accompanied by translation in English under the authority of the High Court. We all know that India has adopted a single judicial system. All appeals against the decisions given by the High Court are required to be made to the Supreme Court, where English is the official language, where the proceedings are to be conducted in English. And if the judgments, decrees and orders are in a language other than English, it will not be possible for the judicial system, especially when we talk about appeals to Supreme Court, to work smoothly and efficiently. Therefore, if we look at the practical aspect, the usage of any language other than English in the judgments, decrees and orders of the High Court is not desirable. Moving ahead, if we look at Article 348, it also deals with another aspect of the matter, that is, what shall be the language to be used in acts, bills, ordinances, rules and regulations which are passed by the legislature of the state as well as the union legislature. As we have discussed, language to be used in the proceedings in union legislature shall be Hindi or English. Similarly, language to be used in the state legislature shall be the official language of the state, or Hindi or English. But then, when we talk about the text of the bills and ordinances regulations, then we find that this is required to be in English. And if they are, so far as the state is concerned, if the language used in the text of that bill or that act or that ordinance or that rule or regulation is other than English, then it shall be accompanied by authoritative text in English. And if there is any conflict between the text in Hindi language and text in English language shall prevail, or the text in English language shall prevail. So the authoritative text of bills passed by the state legislatures is required to be in Hindi or in English, and if it is in any other language, then it shall be accompanied by translation in Hindi as well as English. Moving on to the next portion, that is special directives, which are dealt with in Article 350, 351, we find that duty is cast upon the Union to spread and promote Hindi language, to enrich Hindi language, and in particular, if we look at Article 350A and 350B, the medium of instruction at the primary level to those persons who are belonging to linguistic minorities is required to be in their mother tongue, because we all know that mother tongue is the best medium of instruction so far as the children at the primary level are concerned. So therefore, in case of linguistic minorities, 350A requires that medium of instruction shall be in mother tongue. However, to ensure the provision does not deal with higher education. To ensure compliance with these provisions, under Article 350B, President can issue directions. Now, therefore, students, we have discussed the constitutional provisions pertaining to the drafting of official language provisions, the intense debate which took part in the Legislative Assembly, and therefore we find that the drafting of provision was very sensitive, was very difficult. However, they adopted Hindi as the official language of the Union, Hindi in Devanagari script. Whereas so far as numerals were concerned, international form of Indian numerals were adopted as the form. States were kept free, they were given the mandate that they can choose any one or more languages as their official language. Each and every state has passed an enactment to the effect, and they have declared their official language, one or more, as their official languages. Many states, 11 states, have adopted Hindi as their official language. Other states have adopted their regional languages as the official language of the state. Authoritative text of the bills are required to be in English, accompanied by translation in Hindi. And so far as the language to be used in High Court and Supreme Court is concerned, that is required to be in English. And if we see, if any person wants to make a representation around any grievance, he can address it in any language which is the official language of the Union or which is the official language of the states. Thank you.